I have been asked, is the environment one lives in actually having an influence on their life? Well, one has to understand there are multiple layers of life that actually have an influence on you. The earth that one is birthed on will induce a certain influence on people. The environment that they live on has a certain influence on them. Socially, also, yes, but there are some other subtle energies that will influence you. See, the place that you live in most likely hasn't always been like that. And before you, there have been maybe multiple generations of people, each with their accomplishments, with their pains, and, well, any other dense emotions. Those emotions you will find in your own systems as well, because they are still there in a certain way. Maybe now, when we look at at ourselves, maybe we don't know who our ancestors were, who our grandfathers and grandmothers were. In some people's cases, maybe they never got to see them alive, but their DNA still flows within us because we are born out of genes that decide themselves through, well, nature's own wisdom and craftsmanship. They are decided that are, primary or dominant, whatever way science wants to call them. And, well, they ultimately end up portraying us how we look. Yes? And, well, these points are one aspect that we inherit from our parents mainly, but our parents are also, well, carrying their parents' genes, who also carry their other parents' genes. And it is said that 7 to 12 generations of DNA we all have within us. So the point is, even if we are the result of some dominant genes, we also carry a lot of other information around us. We also carry the misaccomplishments of our forefathers and their skills in a way. And based on our own presets, let's say, whatever we have inherited karmically from previous lifetimes, well, also what the earth that we are birthed on also has put on our shoulders, as well as the karmic baggage that our parents have, we will obviously end up having certain tendencies in life. Yes, proclivities, whatever way you want to call them. Some people will have, a tendency to be more susceptible to some things. Some people may have, some vulnerabilities to other or some diseases or psychological aspects, like they tend to be more sluggish or more tired, or they tend to get sick more often. These, well, also depend on how much you are stressing your own system, and usually we do it in a very stupid way because we tend to overthink and we tend to care a bit too much about everything, and also we used to worry too much about things. Everything that you think, everything that you create, technically, you have to understand your thoughts are not just something, they are pure life force that you create, constantly worrying about something. And then why people wonder that, those worries still exist within them, and it's like they can't stop doing it, is because everything that you have created with your mind doesn't exist there in your brain. Yes, your thoughts and the such do not exist in your brain. Your brain can process them at a certain lower physical level, but everything that you create exists at a very subtle layer. Yes, the layer of the mental body. That's why a lot of people end up suffering from headaches if they overthink. Yes, because it's like literally you're frying your mental body. It's like using your CPU or GPU. If you use it for too long and for heavy tasks, obviously they overheat and they can even get physically damaged if you don't stop doing it. It is the same with your mental body and psychological body and the such. Yes? And all of these thoughts, every action that you make leaves a certain, let's call it a certain trace behind, depending on how much people tend to worry, how much they used to worry. Back in the times, people didn't have too many other things than to worry and to overthink about aspects, especially since it was a very good distraction. all of those still have a certain influence upon you. That is one reason why people suddenly get weird random ideas in their head, even about things that they've never thought before, or about things that they're not even going on in their lives. Like suddenly going down a boulevard, taking a seat on a bench, and suddenly feeling worried about your spouse, but you're not even married. Yes? We all pick up on such thoughts, on such subtle cues of someone else having stood there. Yes? Maybe it was 200 years ago and they were very, proficient in thinking about that. They were very powerful in thinking about that. Yes? They invoked a lot of emotion in that worry. Yes? Even when taking a seat on a sofa or going to a house which is old and other people were there for a long period of time, you may feel that that building has a certain feel to it. Yes? It's not a house feels in a certain way, but you have to understand that the house itself, the apartment that you live in, is obviously a living organism. The geometry in which that house or apartment is built has a certain influence on you. And we live in a metal jungle where everything is flat and everything is square angled. These do not allow harmony, these create disharmony. And the better architectures have always been the rounded ones, which allow energies to flow in a certain way. That is why, for example, many churches used to have this, and mosques, for example, temples usually have rounded structures because they are designed for a particular purpose. The urban jungles we live in today were never designed to keep you healthy. You cannot be healthy living in a building that is specifically square, that doesn't have anything round within. It will make you feel somewhat sluggish. It will make you feel somewhat weird, yes, because those can house pretty weird energies. And the fact that it also acts as a box, right? It, funnily speaking, kind of boxes in certain energies, and whatever you think of, it kind of feels in a different way. It like feels way more stagnant, yes. The house itself has a certain feel to it because of any other people who have been around there, and also everything that you have thought of and done and, well, experienced within it. Many houses back in the times used to have, they have angled roofs, yes, which adds a different kind of geometry to it. But apartments, they're always flat and, square angled. Barely do you have anything other than that. Yes, they are designed more for containment, not for your well-being. Everything that is around you, that has a certain geometry, resonates in a certain way. And, well, one has to figure out if that resonance is actually serving you or not. You have to understand your environment will always be stronger than you, will always be better than you, because it will always vibrate in the way that you make it vibrate. So your actions and whatever you bring in there. You bring in people, foreigners, all sorts of other energies. Just by walking outside in the urban jungle will have you pick up on a lot of energies which you're going to bring into your house. If the first thing you're doing is not taking a shower and curing as many of those energies as fast as possible, those will start lingering in your home as well. Yes, foreigners and other people will also bring their own energies. It is always important to simply air the space. Yes, air currents can also help a bit of things. In my paranormal events that I have gone through, I always felt intuitively the necessity to open the window when something weird would happen. Yes, it's like inviting them outside. One has to also comprehend that not from necessarily an occult level, but when one looks at a house, the house is not just an organism. Yes, it has, you can look at it as a mouth and, well, another part, like you can look at, let's say like this, you can look at the doors and the windows as portals. Yes, how you make use of those things, certain prayers and practices can make sure that those are, in a way dealt with. Yes, you can invite certain energies by keeping your window open, or you can invite them out. Yes, and well, there are a lot of things to discuss on this, but the environment you live in always has a stronger influence on you. Yes, reaching success is when your environment is actually supportive of you. What is the most typical kind of thoughts that you repeat yourself? Yes, those will have a great influence on you. Most people self sabotage. Yes, and those thoughts, well, they will linger there in your home. You call your home your comfort, but you are technically becoming comfortable to your past. Yes, that is why people who are successful, they don't fight against their past, but they just do whatever they can, yes, to keep themselves always on the flow. They always try to extend beyond their comfort zone because, well, whatever was in the past will simply denature itself, will simply dwindle. The more you don't think about it, the more you don't give it attention. Yes? So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferinjan Board signing out.